Today I'll be doing a tutorial on XFLR5 to evaluate a NACA2415 airfoil and perform wing analysis on it. So let's get started. As you can see, I already have XFLR5 open, and that's completely fine. It's normal. We need to actually um, start a design of our airfoil before anything shows up. So to do that, I'm going to go to module and then I'm going to go to direct foil design, which shows this little graph here. And so, like I said, I'm working on a NACA airfoil. So they actually have a specific drop down thing for NACA airfoils. So I'm going to go to foil, NACA foils, and then change this to 2450. Um, Something that is helpful to know with NACA airfoils is that each digit helps to show something helpful about the characteristics of the airfoil. So for the NACA2415, the 2 indicates a maximum camber of 2% at the chord length. For the 4, that indicates that the camber is located 40% at the chord length from the leading edge of the airfoil. And then those last 2 digits, the 1 and the 5, they're grouped together, and the 15 indicates that the airfoil has a maximum thickness of 15% of the chord length. Those things are just helpful to know when you're just analyzing an airfoil, and just seeing its different performance, how the camber affects it, how thickness affects, different things, whether the lift or drag, things like that. But let's continue in our study. So I'm going to change the number of panels to 200 and just click OK. Uh, and then click OK again. And you can see our foil is here. It's displayed here at the center of our graph, and everything is set up, and we can now move on to actually analyzing the airfoil. So I'm going to go to Module Xfoil Direct Analysis, and that is going to display a bunch of graphs here. Let me move myself out of the way. Um, so for my case specifically, I was not given a Reynolds number from my professor, but I was actually given a free stream velocity and I needed to manually calculate the Reynolds number myself. Um, and to do that, all you need to really do is just go to analysis and define an analysis, and you're going to see our fluid properties. This is just the environment that our airfoil is in, and we can kind of use that to manually calculate our Reynolds number. Sorry. So for my case, my density was given to be 1.225 kilograms per meters cube, and then my viscosity was given to be 1.5 times 10 to the negative 5 meters squared per second. The free stream velocity that I had was 15 meters per second. And to simply solve for my Reynolds number, all I needed to do was divide my free stream velocity from my viscosity, which was 50 divided by 1.5 times 10 to the negative 5. And that gave me roughly 3.33 times 10 to the 6, which is like in the 3 million range. But that's just a helpful thing to know if you don't have a Reynolds number specified. We're just going to click OK here. I'm not going to do a normal analysis. I'm going to do a batch analysis, which is needed for plane and wing analysis. You need to do batch analysis to actually have enough data to do the wing analysis. So you need to do a range of Reynolds numbers. You need to have a low Reynolds number that is in between your target Reynolds number, and you need to have a higher range. So for my case, I did a range from 2 million to 4 million. And the way my XFLR5 is set up, I needed to actually change the Reynolds numbers manually. So I just went here and then, edit it. I already have it set up because I already did this study for a wing with a different aspect ratio. So I have everything kind of pre-selected, but I'll just show you anyways. I have 2 million, 2.5 million, 3 million, 3.5 million, 4 million, and that's it. And my Reynolds number that I have for this specific airfoil is kind of nestled in the middle of those. I'm going to keep everything else the same here. My target range of angle of attacks is going to be from -5 degrees to 15 degrees with an increment of 1 degree between each increase. So yeah, this is all I really need to do to set up the batch analysis. And I'm just going to click Analyze here, which is, oh, silly me. You have to actually define the foil that you want to do the batch analysis on, which is what we did in the beginning. I just forgot to click it. So make sure you click that before you click Analyze. And then a few things are going to pop up here, and I'll just wait for it to finish. And then I'm going to click Close. And yeah, you can see that I have different just lines signifying the different Reynolds numbers, the runs that were done with those. And just again, I'm going to analyze it again. So we have all our data stored. I close this. But yeah, you have the different graphs that you would need if you wanted to analyze your airfoil specifically. We have the CL versus CD, CL versus alpha, CD versus alpha, and those two at the bottom there. But let's move on to actually, building our wing and establishing it and defining it so that we can analyze it and study it. So to do that, I'm going to go to Module, and then I'm going to click Wing and Plane Design. And you'll see I have no plane here. That's because I need to go to plane and define a new plane. So for my study, I'm not gonna be taking into account anything with the body, the fins, anything like that. I'm just simply doing a wing analysis. So I'm gonna deselect fin and elevator. And you can see that I just have simple wing shown. And I need to define that. So I'm going to click define, and my chord length is going to be taken to be 1, sorry, 1. And I have a simple rectangular wing, very simple. So this offset is going to be 0. And you can see I have a rectangle. So for my specific evaluation, I'm going to be doing a aspect ratio of 10. So I need to analyze my my wing from 0 to 5, because if you see here, I have symmetric clicked, and basically what XFLR5 is doing is that it is analyzing from 0 to 5, and it's doing that on both sides. So from one end to the wing to the other is the complete 10 meters of the complete wingspan. And then you'll also see over here the other what's it called, characteristics that we have. And we have our chord length here, which we said was 1, and then we have our aspect ratio of 10. So I'm going to save this. I'm gonna save this here. And we have our wing set up. And this is what my wing looks like. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool software. And actually, let me see if I can show you a little bit closer of just my wings. If you ever need to edit something in your plane, you just need to go to current plane and then edit. And then you can just define and then redefine anything that you have here. But yeah, this is everything here that we need. So I'm just gonna go back. Just wanted to show you that really fast before I forgot. Save. And let's define our analysis now, because similar to when we do an airflow, we cannot access this little analyze box over here until we actually define our analysis. So I'm going to go to define an analysis. As I mentioned earlier, I'm working in a free stream velocity at 15 meters per second. And I'm doing the LLT wing only method to analyze. And here you can see that I have my Reynolds number that I calculated previously here. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go to Analyze. Oh, hang on 1 second. Let me see what's up with this. Okay, well, I clearly have a problem with actually remembering that I need to define what I'm studying here. So that is completely my bad. Um, I'm going to just go back to the define wing, and then I'm going to edit it. And for foil, you need to actually click the NACA2415. Who would I guess, right? Anyways, I'm gonna save this, and now I actually have my wing displayed here. Which I was wondering why it wasn't in 3D, but I can't believe I did that. Silly me. So yeah, here we go. This is the rectangular wing with the aspect ratio of 10. So now I'm gonna actually redefine my analysis. 50 meters per second again, the LLC method, everything's fine. I'm gonna save it. Okay, and then now my analyze will work. So it works very fast, which is super neat for us. Um, and yeah, you can see down here at the bottom, we can see our CL versus CD, our CL, CD, sorry. And then for each angle, you can also animate this as well uh, to watch as it moves. Um, so yeah, I'll let that finish, and then I'll stop that. But yeah, let me stop this. And now we can actually evaluate the different things with our characteristics of our wing here. So to do that, very similar to the airfoil analysis, I'm going to go to our graphs here, and we can see our performance of our plane here. And so we have our CL versus CD, we have CL versus alpha, and then we have our other graphs down here, which, as I mentioned in my last video, if you go to current graph, you can define your graph and change it to display whatever you would like. So you see that we have our induced drag, we have yeah, just so many different things here that are helpful. But I don't need any of those things right now. So to save this graph, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna right click on my mouse on my CL versus CD graph, and then I'm gonna go to current graph and then export graph. And I'm just gonna do CD versus CL NACA 2415 AR 10 tutorial, and save this. And give me 1 second, and then I'll open Excel and show you how to plot these. Okay, so I have all my data opened in Excel, and you can see my drag coefficient. Um, you can see my lift coefficient, sorry, and then my alpha here. And I'm just gonna graph these really fast. So I'm gonna go to insert, I'm gonna go to chart, I'm gonna go to scatter, and then up here. And the first one I'll do CL versus alpha. So I'm gonna right click, select data, add, and then I'm gonna do CL versus alpha. My X is going to be my alpha, and then my y-axis is going to be my lift coefficient. Gonna do okay, and now add. And you can see that I have my graph here for my CL versus alpha. Next, I'm gonna do my drag, so same process, insert, scatter, right click for select data, add, CD versus alpha, right? And then X, once again, -5 to 15 degrees. Y is going to be CD this time. And then I'm going to click OK, OK again. And now you can see our CD versus CL graph, which these are the same exact things that are being displayed in our XFLR5. Just plotted on Excel with the data that was given to us in XFLR5. Once again, our last graph, scatter chart. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. Right click, select data, add. This is gonna be CL versus CD. My X is going to be CD. Y. Yep. Okay. And so, yeah, this is our CL versus CD graphs, our CL versus alpha graphs, and our CD versus alpha graphs. And so I'm going to go back to XFLR5, and I'm going to then show you guys how to analyze at a specific angle of attack. Yeah. One more thing, I wanted to also graph the CL over CD versus alpha graph. And I just wanted to display them on Excel and then show you guys them in XFLR5 directly. To do that, I'm just going to do a very simple Excel thing, click and drag. But I'm going to do RCL B2 divided by A2. And then I'm just going to keep doing this B3 divided by A3, click, drag. I'm going to take this by the corner and then drag it down to get those ratios. Same thing as I did previously, plots, scatter, and then I'm going to do select data, add my range. This is going to be CL or CD versus alpha. Our X is going to be our -5 to 15 degrees once again. And then this time our Y is going to be our ratio of CL over CD. Okay, okay. And yeah, these graphs are identical to the ones that are in XFLR5. So let me go ahead and share my screen on XFLR5 so that you guys can see that. So now you can see these are the same graphs that I just did in Excel. You can see CL versus CD, CL versus alpha, CD versus alpha, and then our CL over CD versus alpha graphs, which are the same exact ones in Excel. So moving on, I want to actually analyze my wing at a specific angle of attack. I'm going to do, let me look at my project. I'm going to be looking at my 5 degrees. And I'm going to basically get all the data. I'm going to get the local lift coefficient. I'm going to get the induced angle of attack. I'm going to get the induced drag coefficient. And I'm going to plot those against the span of the wing. So to do that, all I need to do is just click this farmost graph button. And you can see here, this shows my all my information. I'm gonna do here, just so that it's plain for you guys. And we're gonna select 5 degrees. So this is what our induced angle ranges from along the span of the wing at 5 degrees. And so similar to the graphing, if you wanted to change it, you could go to current graph, define graph settings, and then you could go to, we're also going to be doing our local lift coefficient. And so that is what that looks like in XFLR5. And then the last thing that we need is going to be our induced drag coefficient. Um, and then let me just show you guys that really fast. Um, Induced drag coefficient. And that is what our, um, yeah, just data looks like displayed from the span of the wing. So to do this, it's very simple, very similar process to what we have been doing. Right click. I go to show current OP point, and I'm going to export that, and I'm going to say AR10 wing data, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to go to files, and then I'm going to open this and then share my screen. Let me share my screen to Excel again. Um, Share. Okay, so let me double check everything's right. Yep. Okay, so the nice thing about this, when I click this, is I get everything that I need, which is so nice because I don't need to, export a bunch of Excel files and then compile them into one, but they're all in one place for me. This AI here that I'm highlighting, that's our induced angle. This is our local lift coefficient. This is our induced drag coefficient. And like I said, I'm going to be plotting this along the span of the wing. Um, and so to do that, move this once again out of my way. I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to scatter plot. Let me just do this really fast so it doesn't give me any problems. And then I'm going to do select data. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to do our induced angle of attack along the variety of it along the span of the wing. So I'll do variation of induced angle of attack versus wingspan. Um, um, and then which is our y span here, by the way. So along our x-axis is going to be this y span. And then as I'm doing my induced angle of attack, I'm going to do this. Click OK. Okay. And this is our data identical to the one that was in XFLR5. So let's repeat this for the two more processes. Insert, scatter, right click, select data, add. This time I'll do our induced drag coefficient. So variation induced. Maybe this is, and so X is going to be our Y span, which basically is -5 to 5, um, which is the total wingspan of 10 degrees. It's just evaluating it from the negative to the positive. So I said we're doing our induced drag, so this will be our Y. Add, okay, identical, which is perfect. I'm glad that everything's working out right. Insert, charts, scatter, our last plot here. Right click, select data, add, I'll do variation, total scale, wingspan, X is our wingspan, and our Y is going to be CL. And ta-da! This is our information and our, yeah, just our performance at 5 degrees for our rectangular wing at a aspect ratio of 5. Um, Thank you guys so much for bearing with me in my mistakes and being patient with me. I hope that this tutorial is helpful, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you.